All right, tonight we're going to pick up in where we left off last time in chapter 20 exercises. We did, I think we did 2 of the warm-up exercises. Is that what you remember?
Yes,
And,
I put a mark there.
yeah. So we'll begin with the 3rd warm-up exercise, which I'll talk us through right now. Antonomity, that means in the name, and then mu means of me, so in my name. Then you want the verb ekbalusin, that means to throw out or cast out, and it's 3rd person plural, future active indicative 3rd person plural. They will cast out daimonia, demons. That's accusative plural neuter. So in my name, they will cast out demons. Of course, Jesus is speaking there. That wasn't too difficult, was it?
No.
Okay. Dave, did you do the next one?
Yeah.
Would you like to talk us through that?
Yeah. Genosum. Let me try this. Genosum beta, which is we will know.
Okay.
Tain agethe. Yeah. And
Aletheon.
aletheon. I'm sorry. Oh boy, what's wrong with me? Aletheon, which is the truth. So we will know the truth.
Okay.
It's missing the article, but there's no really sensible way to say that. We will know truth. But
okay.
you know, I suppose you could translate it, we will know truth.
Yes, if you consider truth to be an abstract thing. But if it's specific truth,
right, because we don't normally construct things that way. Like I will know Fords, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think we can leave it there.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, because most of the time we would say like, you promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
This is how we always speak about it.
Yeah.
So in that parlance, that just makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, this is part of a context. It's from John 8:32, but you notice he has it in parentheses. That means he's modified it a little bit to make it
look actually at where it comes from, because
that's where it comes from.
It wasn't hard.
That verse is if you continue, Jesus says to the disciples that had just believed him, if you continue in my word, you will know the truth, and the truth will make you free.
Yeah.
Next one is epsilon, ero. Now that is the future of Lego. They come from 2 totally different roots, Lego and aero. This is a liquid future. The present, being from a different root, isn't a liquid verb. It's Lego. Gamma is not a liquid consonant, but aero, the rho, is a liquid in the future. So this is future active indicative first singular of Lego, or aero if you want to consider the future root to be what we're looking at, but you would find it in the lexicon under Lego. Aero te psukemu. I will say to the soul of me, or to my soul.
Right.
Many times the word psuke needs to be translated life, but in this case, soul is what he's talking about. This is from Luke 12, where the rich man had a bumper crop and he said, I don't have enough place in my barn, so I'll tear them down. And he talks to his soul in that verse. Next one is a made-up sentence. Dave, do you Feel comfortable with that?
Sure, I'll try. You'll
Okay,
correct me if I
let's
get
read
it
it
wrong.
together. Auta
Auta
mene epi ton cosmon ala su menes eis tus ionos. Okay, what kind of verbs do we have here? That mene, is that a
Greek.
contract? Is it a liquid or is it just an
Yeah,
ordinary
it
one?
looks like that's a liquid right on.
Liquid, yes, because of the new.
And it's remains in is what I have here. Remains.
Okay.
I have the present tense.
Yeah,
Active. He remains, and then epi is in, is how I translate that.
okay.
The world, but you will remain in eternity. Do I have that wrong? Right.
Eis tus ionos, that means that's an idiom into the ages, literally.
Right.
But that's an idiom for forever.
Okay, so I said eternity forever. I mean,
Well, it's the same thought, but forever is how.
so the whole phrase "H2 aones" we
Tone ionon. Yeah, I mean it's not here, but
yeah, I'm sorry. H2 ionon would be forever.
forever. Yeah.
Okay.
I made a list of idiomatic phrases, and I think I gave you a copy of it. That's on there.
Yeah, I saw it as in you will remain in the ages, and I'm like, what? Yeah, it is in that idiom list, but it's clearly meaning to me forever. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me ask a few dumb questions on the way through, if that's
Okay. Sure.
So mene, it's epsilon sigma is the tense formative, and we don't see the sigma. It's future tense, but we don't see the sigma because the sigma is intervocalic.
That's right. Between vowels, it drops out.
Because this is a liquid future or a
That's
pattern
right.
3 verb.
Okay. And when it does, the first.
I'm just going to ask the dumb questions from the chapter.
You're right. You're smarter than I am because I'm just looking.
It's okay.
You're doing great.
The first one is present.
So it ends up looking like, the first
verb there, mene, that's present active indicative third singular, not future.
Right. The second one
the
is
second
future.
use of mene is future. The epsilon sigma tense formative is there, but you don't see the sigma because it became between the vowels.
So it went away.
So hold on, mene is present or past?
Yes. Mene with the accent on the first syllable is present active indicative third singular.
Okay.
But menes accent, circumflex accent on the second syllable.
Okay. So that accent's really significant.
Yes.
That circumflex accent is really the clue.
Yes.
Okay.
Because if it was menes with an acute on the epsilon, it would have been present tense.
Yes.
Second singular.
That's right.
Okay, thank you.
Exactly.
Yes.
That's super helpful.
That table there is like the go-to for what am I looking at?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. I see that now. That's one pattern I'm getting. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Number eta, I'll take that one, but let's read it together. Pos, pasas, tas, paralas, gnosis, question mark.
Yes.
Okay. Pos means how.
Mhm.
And then I took the verb next. Gnosis is future deponent indicative second plural.
Mhm. Right.
So that means
what pattern is?
That's a I think it's pattern 4.
Okay.
Stay.
Yeah.
It's one of the ISC ones. Is that right?
Yes. Sigma kappa.
Mm-hmm.
He lists it there on page 215.
Yeah.
20.20. The stem, or the root rather, is gamma nu omega.
Mm-hmm.
But in the present tense, it added the iota between the gamma and the nu, and it also added the sigma kappa to form the present tense. But in the future, you don't have that
Okay.
iota, sigma, kappa. You just have the root and then the somai. That's the
That's the
lexical form of the future.
Okay.
And it tells you that it's deponent in the future, but it's not in the present. Now that is
There's a few games happening with Gnosko. Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So that's something I've never been able to figure out, how a verb
Memorize
can be
Gnosko.
deponent in one tense but not in another. Because definition of a deponent is that it has no active form.
Like the word for the truth, Gnostics, hidden knowledge.
Well, actually, yeah, that's
word
where
itself.
the term Gnostic came from. And actually, that's where our English word know comes from, K-N-O-W. The gamma changed to K in English.
So lexical form is Gnosko.
Gnosko, yeah, that's where you locate it in the lexicon. But the lexicon will also tell you that the future is deponent by showing you oh my at the end of it.
Lexical form is future active indicative, right?
And
And so all the
Future
other.
deponent indicative is what I call it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, the lexical form. Sorry, is present
Yeah,
active indicative.
present active indicative.
Right. Thank you.
First singular.
Bay.
Thank you.
Bay.
Okay.
And that's
So-
future tense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gnosis that.
Bay. That's the.
Yeah. So how will you know? If it were in not a question, you say you will know, but when you make it a question, you reverse the order. How will you know? Or you could use the word understand. Pasas tas parabolas, all the parables.
Mhm.
So,
I find that's interesting because this is this a made up one or is this real?
no, that's from
Yeah,
Mark
sure.
4:13.
And it's interesting the lack of the definitive of the declarative there. There's no article in the parables. Oh, I'm sorry, there is. I'm sorry, there is just there is. Never mind. I'll take it back. Sorry. All right.
Okay.
My eyes don't work so well.
And now we're going to start the translation of whole sentences. Mark 1:8. For practice, let's read it together. Ego baptisa. Now, the lexical form of that word has a zeta, not a sigma.
Yeah.
That's a clue.
Yes.
That
This is
we
the
haven't
present.
learned the aorist tense yet, but
But is this the active present tense?
it's the aorist active indicative.
Oh, it
First
is.
singular. We haven't got to the aorist. That'll
So-
be
So this is translated as past tense. Right?
yes. That's
And
why he gave it to us.
he
I
did. He
baptized.
did. All right. I guess when we get there, we'll find out about that.
I baptized. Well, we were reading it. Let's finish reading. Ego baptisa humas hudati autas de baptise humas and pneumati agio. Okay, I baptized. Humas is you plural. Hudati, that's dative singular neuter of hudor. That means in water or with water or by water. Any one of those. I chose in water, but with is just as good.
Yeah.
Then he but is postpositive des, so but he.
The with water is because that form is dative.
Yes,
Right.
hudati. The
Yeah,
iota
that's the
tells you
dative.
that's a third declension noun.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have the subscripted iota,
Right.
but it has the iota. And
Mhm.
you could use any one of your keywords. But he, now baptise, that's got the tense formative sigma. And remember, the root is baptid. Baptizo is the lexical form, and baptid is the root. And a delta plus a sigma causes the delta to drop out. And you've got baptisse. That's future active indicative third singular. But he will baptize humas, you, and pneumati, agio, in the Spirit Holy, or the Holy Spirit. Now,
That's also dative,
yes, it is.
and it's because it
Dative,
follows
singular,
in.
neuter.
Yeah, because it follows in. Yeah.
Yes, that's right. That's the reason it becomes dative. And is a preposition that only takes the dative.
Right, right.
Pneuma, pneumatos, pneumati.
Right. And baptize you. And baptise, so so the first one, baptized you, water. And we have a dative form there,
Yeah,
which
so we use
we
a
said
keyword.
with. We could have used in perhaps, right?
Yes, he could have done a prepositional phrase.
And that's fine. What's fascinating to me with this is the parallel sort of structure that didn't use a preposition, but then
Right.
the next one uses a preposition.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I guess this is, if you know, this is how they speak and this is what they chose to do, but almost as if they could have left off in entirely and it would have had the same meaning. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
As I was
Right.
looking at it, I was thinking of it, I'm sure in the Russian translation of the Bible, this would be, they have 6 cases in Russian rather than 4. One of those extra 2 cases they have that doesn't exist in German or Greek is called the instrumental case, and it's a case that you use when you are using something essentially as a tool to do something.
Well,
So they would have placed in Russian,
Okay.
Udati and Pneumaticatio,
Yeah.
and in the instrumental case to show that is the instrument that you are using to do this.
Okay.
the tool you're
Ray,
using to do this.
What's interesting is
Yeah, we could take a Russian class from you now.
the older Greek grammars did have an 8-case system, and the instrumental was one of those
Then
cases.
they would have used that.
But it's identical in form to the dative.
Yeah.
You've got
So they just
also
don't
the
over time
locative.
merge those 2 cases.
You've also got the locative and the ablative cases.
Yeah.
That's the 8-case system.
Locative would be a case you would use to indicate location of
Right.
something.
And the ablative is a case that you use to describe separation
Okay.
out of rather than from.
But then that's what the dative is obviously indicating here. It's just being
Yeah.
used to indicate this is.
Yeah, it's a
the tool
dative of
that
means, they
I
call it.
mentioned
Did you start the recording?
For the instrument.
Yes, he
to
did.
do this.
Okay. Well, this is fascinating. I do have a question. in
Well,
this
I wanted to say one more thing before, keep your question, don't forget it.
Yeah.
But in the classical Greek, they tended to not use prepositions very much.
And
so they-
depended only on the case.
They
system.
depended on the case
Okay.
to describe it. So that's
Okay.
why
Okay.
in the Koine period, they had both up.
Oh, that
Options
was
of
going to be my
probably-
question.
Oh,
So the prepositions came into the Greek language
later.
later.
Yeah.
I
and
wonder if they
probably
came
in the-
from some other place because they conquered and became a big empire. I'm wondering if other languages had influences and caused this.
entirely
Possibly.
possible.
Yeah.
Mm.
Another,
And probably the cases that were simplified after acquiring the prepositions. Like, well, we got.
Sure,
the
we don't need
preposition,
that.
We got the case. Well, why do we need 2? Let's just use the preposition.
But there's like this mix where they're using
Right.
both.
Yeah.
yeah,
Right,
yeah.
right.
Which
It's
which
kind of
tells
bizarre.
me that they were still using the older
That's right.
methods.
But sometimes, haven't we seen in our translations that the use of the case can kind of, well, I guess different cases actually can determine how what the preposition means, right? I mean,
Apparently,
the way
it's-
that you
Right.
read the preposition changes in the
Yes.
case.
Yeah.
So they're like working in tandem sometimes.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
You also have adverbs that, adverbs are also a more, no, wait, I better not say that. Sometimes in fact, I think we have one in our exercises. One of the adverbs is exo, which means outside. He went out, and they would add exo to it. He went out
Where we get
outside.
like an exoskeleton on an insect.
Right, but that's an adverb. Part of speech is an adverb. And the Greeks would add that where we don't need it in English. We would simply say he went out, not he went out outside.
I'm confused.
Uh-oh.
No, because I'm not sure how that's modifying the verb. He went out outside. I don't understand that structure.
It modifies the way he was going.
Adverbs modify verbs,
Yeah.
adjectives, or other adverbs.
Uh-huh.
And this is modifying an adjective.
What out?
Out.
I mean, we still use it. Think about it.
No, I'm struggling with this in the structure because
I'm just confused. about the
it's an
English.
object.
Sorry.
That's okay. It's the object.
Well,
So
let's try not to get bogged
Yeah.
down with that. We can talk
all right,
about that some
that's
other.
fine.
Number 2, apostelle. Now, the verb is apostello with 2 lambdas. That's the lexical
yeah.
form. But apostelle, this is a liquid future. Lambda is one of the liquid
Right.
consonants. And so this one, kind of like valo, it
Yeah.
dropped its other lambda.
It's future tense.
Yeah, this is future. Future active indicative third singular. And the circumflex accent here kind of flags that as being liquid future. Apostelle hagios to anthropou tous angelus autou. Subject is hagios. Somebody translate that.
Oh, the son
To
I'm-
anthropou,
of men.
the son of man. Now your verb.
Well, will send
Will send. What will he send? Tous angelus autou.
the messengers of him.
Okay. Yeah. Or his messengers or his angels.
Yeah.
Apostole is future active indicative third person singular.
That's right.
Circumflex tells us that it's liquid. It's the future.
Right.
Great. Thank you.
Mhm. Well, there's a couple things to tell you it's liquid. The consonant lambda is a liquid. The
Mhm.
root
Mhm.
is apostelle
Right.
with 1 lambda.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
It's in much of these.
Number 3, eke. This is an adverb. It means there. Eke auton opsisa kathos apen humin. Now, the verb here, opsisa, is one of those weird verbs that has more than one root. The lexical form is horao.
Okay.
And
Nice.
you would never guess it unless I think this is one of our, yes, it's in our vocabulary, this chapter,
Mhm.
horao. Take a look at page 219. See the root for present tense or present tense stem is hora. But the future tense root or the root is op. But then you've got a third one. That's that upsilon with a caret underneath it is, I think it's a digamma. There's an older form of that. It looks like capital F in our language, but they thought of it as two capital gammas put together. Anyway, 3 different roots. And you can see underneath that opsami is the future, which is deponent in the future, but it's not in the present. Adon comes from the 3rd root, that's the aorist. And then heoraka, that's back to the 1st root, hora. That's the perfect tense. We won't go any further than that right now, but you can see how, I think what happened is that as the language developed, they pulled in words that had similar meanings and combined them into one.
Yeah.
I was just
form.
wondering, how do you, multiple roots implies different plants initially.
Yeah.
And that could also come from, again, what Dave was suggesting of, as the Greek conquered other peoples, adopting foreign words that were synonyms or direct translation.
Well, we do the same thing, even though it's not through conquest. We take some words from French, some words from Latin, some words.
It is from conquest, but what it is from being conquered in 1066 by William the Conqueror, who came over from Normandy, France, and imposed French on the British Isles.
Okay, I didn't know that little piece of history.
That entered into English
Well,
with the Norman conquest, because William and his nobles weren't going to learn Anglo-Saxon.
Okay.
There's
The
actually
Anglo-Saxons weren't really capable of learning French, and so for centuries there were 2 languages, and then over time they merged.
Okay.
actually the change in the English in the last 200 years has been quite significant compared to other European languages. And that may be because of the English and now American empires, if you will. The influence of the English-speaking people on the world has been so extent that we've had so many people coming and interacting. We've sort of, that tends to have an effect of changing a language.
It does.
Yeah.
Although that particular change with that dual Anglo-Saxon and Latin base,
That's very different.
that does come from
No, that's from, well, that's being conquered, but that's a very different kind of change than what we've seen since Elizabethan English till now.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Although you can also kind of point to that same thing in the last 100 years with every language in the world, pretty much with technology.
Technology is making a difference somewhat, but like, I don't think that from what I can see, it doesn't look like the Spanish, French, and German have changed as much in many ways. We've completely dropped out the declensions, and we've dropped out a lot of verbs. And what else did we change? There's a lot of change there.
We have tended to apply multiple meanings to existing words so that they don't have their original meaning. Done a lot of that.
Yeah.
How about we go forward now? Okay, there in an opsista, you will see auton, him. Kathos is an adverb, just as, or like, or simply as. He said to you. Apen is from Lego. That's the aorist tense, and this is one that we've picked up along the way because we use it a lot in narrative scripture. We're going to be learning the aorist tense in chapter 22 and 23, so it's coming up soon.
Okay.
The next chapter after this, 21, is imperfect, and I really hope we can get that under our belt before we have to disband. Okay, so there you will see him just as he said to you. Apokrythe is another word that we picked up along the way. It means he, she, or it answered, past tense. So subject is Jesus.
Right.
You want to do that one, Dave?
Well, yeah, so Jesus answered, Kai and Apen said to him, auto.
Good for you.
Because that's the dative. Ain, which now look, I have to look at that sentence. I'm sort of look at the rest of the sentence and go, what's going on? Tis, who, water, which. And the next
Now,
word
this
is
and this
loves.
doesn't have an accent, so it's not the interrogative
Oh,
pronoun. It's the indefinite,
Oh,
or it's
all
a
right.
relative pronoun.
So,
Someone or anyone.
all right, loves me. Okay, that sounds right. Sure. Yeah, if, and you're saying whoever loves me.
Um,
I'm sorry, what are you saying?
Tis means someone, anyone, or a certain one.
Okay.
I
so
chose anyone.
If anyone loves me, is
Yeah.
where we're going. The word of me, he will keep.
Okay. You want to change the word order?
Oh yeah, yes, he will keep my word.
Okay, good.
And the Father, that is of and my Father, if you will,
Yeah.
will love him and will give. I'm sorry, where am I at? I'm sorry, and will come. Sorry, and we will come.
Yes.
To him.
Yeah. That elusimi is from erkamai. It's another word that has more than one root.
I kid that kind of fast. Yeah, that's right. That's
But
the we
you
will
got
come.
it.
But I mean, I want to. So that's where. What did I do? Because I'm not sure if they're following. The we you got the agape say on the first part of the second line is the love verb, will love, future tense. You saw father pater, and the we will keep, right? That's the
Yes.
he will keep. I mean,
Terese.
terese.
That comes from tereo, which is a liquid verb.
Sorry, what are the roots of erkamai again?
Erkamai, elusimi, and this is from elusimi, the future.
So it's like erk and
yeah, let's see what erk is the present tense stem.
Yeah, that's the tricky one. It's like it's a different looking
I
thing.
think it's in the previous chapter vocabulary.
Okay, that's all right. We don't necessarily have to go there.
And of course, the chi pros is a preposition.
Yes.
Which right then the rest
To
of
or
it's clear.
toward.
Right, and
Yeah.
everything else is straightforward, right?
I think so. Yeah. Number 5. Are you okay? You ready to go?
Yeah, go ahead. I don't want to slow you down.
No, that's
I'm
sure.
going to be doing tasks somewhat unrelated to the translation. to try to
Okay.
catch up.
Texitai. That's a future middle indicative third singular of tikto. I looked that up. He doesn't say that. He just gives us.
Is this what it means?
Yeah, just gives it. He, she, or it will bear. Well, it's women who bear sons, so
Must be she.
she, yeah. And she will bear a son, Huion, by Kaleses. Now that's future. This is not a liquid, it's a contract, kaleo.
Yes.
So it doesn't have the epsilon sigma tense formative, and the sigma doesn't drop out.
The accents in the different is in the normal place.
Yeah. So this brings me to an important point. You need to really know the liquid verbs and the contract verbs, and don't get them mixed up. That's one reason I gave you this color-coded chart. It shows all the verbs that we'll learn in this textbook, and the yellow color-coded ones are contract verbs, the green ones are liquids. So learn those carefully, because you'll be tempted to get them confused with one another. But knowing that it's kaleo and not kalo, if it were kalo, it would be a liquid, but it's kaleo, contract. Okay, and you will call the name of him Jesus, or you will call his name Jesus. Autos is nominative singular masculine. For he, so say, will save, laon, the people of him, his people, from the sins of them, from their sins.
Okay.
It's interesting to me that it uses laon.
So is texitai not a vocab word?
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
why he gives it
Got
to us here in
Laon
parentheses.
for people, why is that interesting? Laon,
Yeah.
why is that
Well,
interesting?
it's not anthropon.
Oh, well, that would be
Laon.
man.
We get our word laity from there, or lay people. No.
Well, this prophecy, sure, I don't know what the Hebrew looks like,
Let's look
but
at
the promise was to save Israel from their sin.
well,
I mean, we,
primarily, but
Right?
eventually the
right,
Gentiles would be.
yes, and there'll be a light that shines to the Gentiles
Yeah.
also.
But then you also have to think back to what Paul said in Romans and go to save which Israel.
Say that again, Ray.
Okay,
Okay.
but these are things that weren't yet revealed.
That's true. They didn't
Yeah.
understand
And
it
this
that way
is
yet.
this is from the Magnificat, I think, which is
Yeah.
quoting,
Mhm.
but if you look at that, well, if you read that, it really reads his people, not all the people everywhere. I mean, now we look at that and recognize his people is more than just the Jews. But who is he saving? He's saving those whom the Father calls. The truth is, it's still his people. It's not all
Well,
of mankind.
No, it's not.
Right.
But laos in the book's lexicon here says it's people or a crowd. It doesn't say Gentiles. There's another word, ethnos,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
Gentiles.
No, that's right. But I'm just thinking instead of anthropon, which would mean like everybody,
Yeah.
humanity,
Mankind in general.
Cosmos.
or cosmos, right? And he didn't use those because it meant to be something less than that.
True.
I mean, I think, right? And that's our theology, but not trying to read that upon it, but it makes sense.
Okay. But you're okay with the translation though?
Yeah, great.
Okay, number 6. Now that first word is not an article. It's an eta with a smooth breathing and a grave accent. It means or, O-R. Or oida means that's actually perfect tense, but they use it in place of the present tense. Oida is the lexical form. This is oidate. That's second person plural. You plural, no, but the ook in front of it.
No.
Or do you not know? Hati is that since or because. I chose that. Hagioi is the saints or the holy ones.
Mm-hmm.
That the saints, now our verb krinusen, that accent on this is a liquid verb, krino, not krineo, but krino.
So the root is krin.
Krin is the root, and the tense formative for a liquid is epsilon sigma, but the epsilon, I'll put the sigma, epsilon, the sigma occurs between the epsilon and the omicron, so it drops out.
Our connecting vowel is the omicron. Right?
That's right. Mm-hmm.
And so we're left with eta omicron.
Epsilon.
Epsilon. Forgive me.
Sigma, omicron, but the sigma drops out between the epsilon and the omicron.
And we have epsilon.
And then when it did that, the circumflex accent magically appeared on that syllable.
The epsilon away.
Renusin. How
What's the, I'm sorry, the personal ending here? Is,
They will judge, yes.
They-
Will judge.
yeah, will judge. They will judge. The saints will judge. Ton Cosmon, the world, question mark. Do you not know, that's again, that now krenumen is same verb, but first plural ending. We will judge
Mhm.
angels.
Okay, I see why you're, I'm sorry. I don't mean to slow down too much.
That's
I
all
see
right.
why you're emphasizing that circumflex, because that represents the contraction of the eta to the
That's-
epsilon and the
right.
omicron.
Yeah.
And then the upsilon is part of that third person plural
Yeah,
ending.
it's the same situation with third plural as it is with first plural.
But
Both-
this is future tense?
Both of them are future liquid futures. Yeah.
Okay.
The epsilon sigma transformative, and the sigma dropping out.
Oh, I see it. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
He had a footnote number 1 there on.
Agapa.
Yeah, where was that?
No.
It's
Number
the
4.
agapa, number
Yeah.
4.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's because of that word eon. That's a form of if, which is used with the subjunctive mood.
I'm
Eontis agapa in the middle of that sentence. Are you?
Oh, yeah, yes. I'm sorry.
Oh.
I'm sorry. Yes,
Yeah.
I do. Absolutely. Yes.
On. It's a combination of a, which is if, and on, which is the particle that makes something. What's the word? I can't think of the word I want. But anyway, that form is the form of if that's used with the subjunctive mood, and that means it's not certain that the person will love the Lord. But if anyone should love me, he will keep my word. You can use the helping verb would, should, or could, or might, or may to express the subjunctive mood in English. Okay, that's just a finer point there. Number 7 on the next page. Pontus pistiousin is auton. Let's do that much.
Okay.
Pontus, that's our third person. Third declension noun, pos and pon. But this is all people. It's nominative plural masculine. All people pistiousin.
It's pistiousin.
Oh,
right?
thank you. Yeah.
So
It's future. Yes.
Okay. Huh.
All
Okay, I
future.
learned something. A chapter ago.
Yeah.
A chapter ago.
Yeah. All
will-
people will believe in him.
Third, yeah, plural. Yeah.
Yeah.
Will, okay.
And elusantai. Now that's the future of erkamai. It's a future deponent. Will come. The Romans will come.
The declension of pontes agrees with the verb, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and that's what's
Third
important
plural.
here.
Mhm.
It has to be that to work in this verb. Otherwise, we would end up with a problem, I suppose, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a plural, nominative plural masculine. Do you see there about elusantai? That's the
Yeah,
future tense of erchomai and its
Right.
deponent.
that we had that earlier.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
And the Romans will come and arusin. Now,
Oh, is that what Romioi is?
yeah,
Yeah.
Romaioi. Yeah. The Romans.
It's funny, isn't it?
Notice the rough breathing before the
The row,
row.
of course.
Yeah.
Romai.
Roma. Now, arusin,
Doubtless a word said with
That's-
some disdain by the Macedonians.
Yeah, I almost sound Klingon in my ears. somehow.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Arusamai.
arusin.
Arusin.
Now
Okay,
that's
Arusin.
from Iro, which is in our vocabulary for this chapter, but this is a future root, arusin. It lost the iota between alpha and the rho. It's just alpha rho is the root. Arusin, and that's a liquid. The rho is a liquid
Okay.
future. So that's why you got the circumflex there, and the sigma of the tense formative dropped out.
Yep.
So,
Okay.
and the Romans will come and will take away ton tapon amon, the place of us, or our place. This is what
Oh, I recognize this now. Yeah.
Caiaphas said that.
Yes.
Okay. Let's read number 8 together. And Dave, you feel okay translating it?
Sure, I'll try.
Okay. Allah,
Allah.
ere,
Oh, I'm sorry. Ere.
ere, tis,
Tis.
pos, egerontai, hoi, necroi, hoio, de, somati, erkantai.
All right. Well, let's look at this.
Yeah.
So Allah could be rather, but instead. So let's look what we have happening. Will say.
Yeah.
Eri is will say.
Mm-hmm.
Tis is someone. Yes,
Mhm.
I didn't miss it this time.
Okay, good.
Pos. What do I have here? I have that as how.
That's correct.
Egeronta. That's not right.
Egeron.
Egerontai. And I have that are awakened.
Okay. Raised is probably
raised?
better translation.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking at what this means. So I just said fine. Raised. I know where this is from. Awakened.
Okay. Awakened from the dead.
From the dead. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what it says. The next
Yeah.
thing is the dead. Hoi, the dead. So let me look at this now. How? But how will? I'm sorry, but I'm sorry. I'm struggling with looking at this. Give me a second.
That's all right.
I'm sorry.
Take your time.
Say? Someone will say, but how are the dead awakened?
Yeah,
Raised.
I would suggest putting the Allah with the first phrase, but someone will say.
But someone will say,
how are the dead
how
raised?
are the dead raised?
Okay.
Okay, yeah, right. But someone will say, how are the dead raised? Yeah, or awakened. Yeah, right. Okay. The next one, the verb he gives to us in what sort of,
Mm-hmm.
And then we have dead body. Do they come? In what sort of body do they? In what sort of in what sort of body will they come? I mean, or do they come?
Do
That's
they
not,
come?
it's
Yeah.
not future. Do they come in?
Yeah.
In what sort of body do they come? Which is really awkward. So I probably wouldn't really want to write it that way.
Okay. Well, that's the first pass at it.
You know, I would look at this and say, and I didn't even look at which scripture, but what sort of body will they have? It's perhaps how we would say it in English, because in English we just wouldn't say it this way. It's like the German, they don't say, "Are you hungry?" They say, "Do you have hunger?"
Yeah.
I mean,
Tengo hambre.
Tengo hambre. Yeah. Spanish too.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
Or
that's
I have
just
pain.
really awkward because it's not really trying. The context is pretty clear. It's not talking about them coming somewhere. It's talking about their existence.
There's a certain sense where they do come. I mean, I guess because I'm thinking
Well,
like
yeah.
Lazarus coming forth out of the tomb.
Now, I don't know if it's true in the Greek, you know, I mean, I'm gonna take the way I know they translate it, but what in the Greek, is there a difference in the usage here, or is it just me sensing it? Do they really mean something different than how I would interpret it? I mean,
Are
translate
you
it?
talking about that last phrase?
Yeah, that last phrase. It just
Yeah.
seems really awkward
Which
in the
sort of
English. Is that just a
Yeah.
difference in the Greek usage of that?
Probably, but
That word?
another thing that you could or maybe should do is use the continuous aspect. And what sort of body are they coming?
Well, they're not presently doing it right now. I'm not.
Well, it's talking about a future action
You'd
when
be
they,
thinking like, in what sort of body are they?
That
coming
will be.
back
That would
to
be.
life?
Well, we use the to be verb in these cases, and it
Yeah.
looks like they're using a different verb.
they use, yeah.
I mean, in what sort of body will they have? Well, or in what sort of body? And I'm using future tense, which is this is present
Well,
tense, right?
It's a future idea of the present tense.
Yeah.
It's a futuristic present, it's what they call it. We
Okay.
do it in
But-
English. When I say, when are you coming? You haven't, it's obviously future.
Fair enough.
And I guess here's the other
Mm.
thing too. Remember
Okay.
that at the time Paul wrote this, the early church believed that Christ's return was so imminent that it would happen in their lifetime.
Yeah,
So they would have been
Oh, I
thinking in terms of the immediate present, the immediate future, is when this was gonna happen.
I'm not
Sure,
sure reading the apostle's
not-
mind is.
I'm
a
not
guy
sure
knows.
I'm not sure that if I talk to you about what I'm going to be doing tomorrow, I'm still not going to use some other tense. I mean, I will still say tomorrow I will do something. I wouldn't say tomorrow I am doing
How
something.
strange would it sound to you to tell Zach,
do
I'm
say
coming
that.
over to your house tomorrow?
It would be fine. But
Well,
I would, I
That's
would,
present
exactly
tense.
what he's doing here.
but I'm coming to your house next year also would sound fine.
Right,
Well,
that's present tense.
That's right. But
that's
it-
kind of
what
like
I'm,
he's
what
doing
I
here.
get the usage, but I don't know that it has anything to do with the period of time.
oh,
There's
you'd
sort of,
have to qualify it with other
I'm
words.
saying, I don't think
Yeah.
that's really the issue. It's a usage issue here I have to think about because, yeah, I do get what you're saying, the future idea with the present tense, the it's called
Present
the
continuous,
present. It's
the
not called
continuous
continuous, it's
aspect.
the other way, right?
He used continuous aspect.
Is that,
Are they
is that
coming?
what they call the continuous aspect?
Yeah,
Okay,
Are they coming?
do
'Cause-
they come or are they coming? Are the two options.
right, are
And
they?
do they
translated.
come is, I
It-
forget,
That's
simple or what
that's
did you call it?
you could
That's
call
the
it
simple.
simple or the undefined aspect.
Undefined, thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah, I couldn't remember. I was like, I remember.
So
thinking
in
like
what
that.
sort of
Thank you.
body are they coming?
Yeah.
But we actually didn't translate that, did we, in NASB or anything, whatever? I mean, it seems like it's more like, I'd have to look it up. Okay, anyway,
Okay, number 9.
thank you.
Reading together. Lege
Lege
auto ek tu stomata
Stomata.
mutsu
Su,
krino se
se,
honere dule. Now the epsilon on the end of those two words is vocative.
right.
Case.
And I wrote that, but it seems that it serves in the grammar the same as nominative? Not really. It's being spoken to directly.
The vocative case is it comes from the Latin word vocare, which means to call.
Right.
And
And we have that in the English. I mean, when we're talking to somebody directly.
Yeah.
Can I ask just a quick
Sure.
question I had meant to ask? The array is what verb again?
let me find it. Number 8.
Second word.
Okay.
Number 8.
That's the future of Lego.
Oh, okay.
Arrow. One of those verbs
Okay.
that has
Thank you.
different root.
That's all. Thank you.
Lego and arrow. But notice that arrow is liquid, but Lego, being a different root, is not liquid.
Did we actually study vocative? I didn't think we ever got there.
He did mention it briefly. Yeah, it's
Okay.
one of the chapters
All
toward
right.
the end of the section on nouns. Okay, number 9. He says or he said. This is one of those historic presents. that when in narrative it's used a lot. He said to him, "Ectu stomatas." Stoma is mouth. Out of the mouth of you, out of your mouth. And by the way, that word ek can be from, away from, or in this case, out of.
Mhm.
That would be an example of the ablative.
Okay.
It's separation. Out of your mouth, I will judge. Krino is a liquid future. So the new, the stem is krin, and the new makes it liquid. And you can tell it's future tense because of the, not only the new being the last letter of the stem, but the circumflex accent. Out of your mouth I will judge you, comma, wicked slave. Now this is used also in apposition. It's a vocative case, but it's also appositional, which means it's you is the direct object, but
Mhm.
then wicked slave further describes you.
Right, yeah, okay.
Number 10, that'll be yours, Dave, if you
Sure.
should choose to accept it.
I don't know.
Let's read together.
Dia
Dia
tuta,
tuta kai he Sophia tu theo apen
Apen,
apostello eis
eis
autus
autus,
prophetas kai apostolus kai ek auton apoktenuten.
Okay. Let's see here.
This might be the most difficult one in this section.
Yeah, so I'm going to leave dia for a second. It means
Okay.
something to the form because of, but
Well, the phrase dia tuto is an idiomatic
oh, well,
expression.
all right, I missed that.
Meaning for this reason.
Okay, fine. What I would have had here, I think, is because of this, which
Yeah, because of this or
For this
for this
reason.
reason.
next, and then we have and, which is actually would have, it would have been and because of this reason. Or
Well,
is it-
this
no,
is,
because of this reason and the wisdom. So what we have here is the wisdom of God says, right?
Dave, I don't know if I have really explained this very much, but kai can not only be used as a conjunction like you were doing there, but
Okay.
it can be used adverbially,
Yeah. All
meaning
right.
either also or even.
Oh, yeah, right. And I missed that. I admit, I missed that.
Well, I
So-
didn't really teach that very well.
No, you taught it fine. It's just, I missed it.
I remember you teaching
No,
it, but it's like
I've
you've
used
seen
it.
so infrequently, you don't.
Yeah.
think
I
of it.
just missed it. That's all. I'm going through and I just lazily thought, and I thought, well, okay, fine. But yeah, also the wisdom of God says, I will send. That's apostello,
Yes.
or actually, I will send forth. Ace, I say that means to. The preposition to is how I would use that. Autus, them.
Mhm.
Prophets, right?
Right.
And apostles.
Yes.
And then we have a comma. And
Yeah.
now this one was a little tricky because it means something like what is the word for this? Genitive. Forget it's
Partitive
called.
genitive.
That's it. And it's like what I read about it says it's kind of like reducing some it's taking out of and
Yeah.
so
A
the words I
segment
chose
of.
are like of some, right?
Mhm.
Are and some of them they will kill.
Yes.
That's what I came up with. So that
Yeah. Apokteno
Pain
is the
said,
lexical
yeah.
form. That's present tense.
Yeah.
But this,
Now instead of thinking of vocabulary.
Yeah.
This week, just for this chapter.
very good.
Okay, well, thank you.
We
Appreciate it.
finished-
That one's a little hard.
In record time.
The
Yeah.
next ones are harder.
Yeah. Okay, well, the next 10 for next week's assignment. And then we'll read chapter 21 and
So, what did you do with Kai there then? I'm sorry, you,
which one? Which
that first Kai on 10,
Okay, that's also.
you think
I-
that's best as also?
Yeah, the reason I chose adverbial Kai instead of conjunction Kai is because it's not connecting two nouns or
Right, right.
two
Or two
phrases,
clauses, yeah.
which could be, and it just fits better as an adverbial.
Yeah, it's sort of odd anyway, you know, in the English, we really wouldn't speak this way. We have to kind of do something to it, but I think we just wouldn't construct something quite like this.
No, probably. Yeah, the Greeks had a way of.
They liked a lot of their sort of connectors.
Okay, well, you feel okay about this section we did?
Yeah, definitely struggling with parsing those verbs, but I mean, the rest of it is not like a shock or a surprise, but parsing the verbs.
Well, Dave, just curious, how much time did it take you to do that?
Oh gosh, a whole lot more than it should. To do all this was probably, 8 or 10 hours. It was a lot of work. I'm slow. But okay, so the last, I did 4 today because I got through 12, and I did those 4 in about 2 hours.
Mhm.
Okay,
Well, I admire your tenacity.
so
I'm slow too, and it takes me a lot of time. But I see, this is not the first time I've gone through it.
that's pretty bad.
sort of
Half an
cheat.
hour of some of that, those 4, these were the more difficult ones in the homework so far, and those ones, probably 20 minutes to half an hour to do each one of them. And look, that's because, look, I'll be honest, I know what we studied, but I'm looking at these and it's hard to parse through. If I actually went through and tried to apply all the parsing myself, that everything, I'm parsing the wrong word, the conjugations, which to me looks like parsing, just the idea of going backward is why I say that. Being from a computer background, we parse a language to get to its meanings. And so I'm looking these up in lexicon and if it's too hard, I'll go ahead and look. I mean, I'm trying to do my best. I'll go ahead and look at the scripture and go, what's happening here, to make sure I understand it. Try not to cheat on all of it.
Yeah, well,
but I'm trying to take my time, but my methodology is more like I'm a child looking for the adults to help me with the more difficult things, right?
well, consider where we've come from.
Yeah.
Remember the first few exercises we did? He gave us most of the words, and we just
Sure.
Yeah.
And we've come a long way.
I would to translate from raw a piece of scripture would be really, really hard for me. I would be looking up, because I'm looking up each word, and if they're not in my lexicon that I can look up to where I can even get to the form. And I recognize some of them. So some of them were not in my lexicon. My cheating lexicon that gets me right to the word and tells me everything about it. I had to do a little more work. I had to actually go back and come up with, and they're not in these, but the next one has some of these, I think, that were not, because they're made up and they're not in the New Testament. So my complete lexicon of the New Testament didn't help. And I had to go back, but I did understand it enough to go back and look at this and say it's liquid. Which tense? What's going on with it? And I found the root and I did it. So the skills worked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This may help you, Dave.
Sure.
If you can study this now.
And I did use his list in the book.
Yeah. Okay. This is very helpful to me. The farther we get into things, the more we'll probably rely on something like this. Especially when it's got more than one root.
But even that is not containing the conjugations that were in a couple of these. I had to recognize what the root was
Yeah.
and go figure out what the form was to kind of figure out what the tense ought to be.
Yeah,
We'll see if we got it right when we get to next week.
well, the more you do of it, the better it'll stick with
Yeah.
you. All right, well, let's pray and we'll close. Or do you want to turn off the recording and then we'll pray?
Either way.
Good night, everybody. Whoever you are.